Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Have you thought that maybe all these policies or laws or even statements made by the guys in charge of Ukraine, I was about to say Ukrainians, by the guys in charge of Ukraine in Kiev are pre-written, pre-thought by people living 7,000 miles west of Ukraine? Have you thought about that? Is it possible that other people think about what should be the next move, and then they let these guys know you're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we build legitimacy, and we're gonna promote your message and so on. But you say this, and you say there's certain things here that sound too thought about. I'm not discarding the Ukrainian intelligence whatsoever. You know what I discard? The Ukrainian weaselshipness. It's a new word. That's why I discard. I don't think the Ukrainians are thinking like that. Yes, I know we're generalizing, but you can get the pulse of a nation. I'm alive. You can get a pulse by learning about its cultures, its favorite social phrases. Things like this. You can find out what they respect, what kind of how should I put it? Things they consider being positive values, kind of thing, and the way they judge certain things, certain behaviors. Different cultures might tend to have a little bit of a flavor, and I think this kind of things of the policies that are coming to Ukraine seem to come of two flavors. One being a perverse or perverted flavor coming from some Western guys that actually send the same perversion to other countries in Europe and in North America, and the other one is a weasel way of doing business. I'm not going to go into that one, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, listen to me more and you're going to figure it out. So what's going on here? We have Zelensky, who actually confirms, if you look at it in a certain way, obviously, confirms what the Russians were saying. Remember, the Russians, that's how the story goes, invaded Ukraine unprovoked. But now we find out that actually the Russians invaded Ukraine to protect their people that were abused by the guys in Kiev. Not the Ukrainians, by the guys in Kiev and some groups that were extreme. So what's going on over here? What's going on over here? We have Zelensky coming out and saying the exact thing about the Russians now. We need to protect the Ukrainian nation living in the traditionally Ukrainian territories in Russia. So if you say this, that means you legitimize what the Russians were saying all along. You guys are abusing our people in your country, on our territories, historical territories. And I say, well, we're going to do the same thing. So that means that the other guys were right. Because if you come and sign the decree saying that means the other one is valid as well. Fucking retards. Anyway, let's look here. The Kiev Independent. Zelensky signs decree recognizing some Russian territories as historically inhabited by Ukrainians. That legitimizes what the Russians were saying about Donbass, Crimea, and Kiev. Medvedev came out and said a month and a half ago, I made a video on that one saying, actually, those cities are ours and more, a lot of historically Russian, and now this guy just says the opposite. That means that's a true thing. It's a real issue then. Fucking man, this guy. Anyway, that's why I don't know if this was done by the two forces I was saying. I was talking at the beginning, but it seems like these guys did not go that far didn't think it through. Ukraine will take steps to research, publicize, and protect the histories of Ukrainians living in parts of modern-day Russia that have been historically inhabited by Ukrainians, according to a decree signed by Zelensky on January 22nd. I'm going to tell you straight. If you look at Ukraine, and I'm going to show you the map. God damn it. If you look at Ukraine, the modern Ukraine is formed from taken and given territories and formed Ukraine. That's how it was created. You don't like it? I don't give a fuck. Read history. So here it is. This is Ukraine. This part was taken from the Poles. This part was taken from the Romanians. This part was taken from the Romanians or Hungarians. This part was taken from, if you want to go like this, from Russia. This part was taken again from Russia. So if you want to really remain, not really with this, because if you go in, let's say, 16th century, 17th century, it was, I think it was that Commonwealth, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. You see my little hand over there on the screen? Follow that. That's the border from here going down to the Black Sea. All this part right here belonged to that Commonwealth. At that time, I don't remember of any Ukraine, historically Ukrainian territories. By the way, let's go with the etymology of the word Ukraine. Ukraine means at the edge or of something. Where is that edge? Edge of what? What is it? So this is the city, and you say it's Ukraine. At the edge of this. It was all, that's the name of Ukrainska. Ukraine means at the edge, not the center. So at the edge of something. What was that? Russia? What was it? What was it? How would you like your country to be called at the edge of, at the border of, how would you like that to be called your country? That means you really are at the edge of something, you're a secondary thing in reality. Man, this is garbage. All right, let's go back to the article, because I have two articles. One, what Zelensky did, and the other one, what Medvedev says. Very interesting what point Medvedev says. Zelensky announced he had signed a decree during his address on Unity Day, a national holiday celebrated the decree, and I'm quoting, on the territories the Russian Federation historically inhabited. What historically? Give me the name of a country called Ukraine in history. You're going to give me the Kiev, whatever, the Kiev thing that the Russians had under control? Is that what it was? Is that what you're going to give me? By Ukrainians, stipulates that the government should cooperate with international experts, Americans and the weasels that protect you, sponsor you to destroy Russia, create a plan to preserve the national identity of Ukrainians in specific territories of what is now Russia. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, protecting your nationals in other countries. I think that's a duty of a country, of a nation, to take care of their sons that were trapped in other territories. I'm all for that. So if you think that you have Ukrainians in Russia, by all means, look after them, protect them. Make sure they're not discriminated. And if they're discriminated, their media outlets are closed, if their language is banned, if their culture is strangled, if their political parties are banned, then by all means you can go and attack that country how do you call it? Unprovoked. Okay, you can do that, right? You see where it's going with this? And if it's like that, then the Romanians can do that, the Hungarians can do that, the Poles can do that with Ukraine. The minorities are not kosher over there. So remember, everything you say could be used against you. Like, remember the Miranda rights. Everything you say right now could be used in a court of law against you. So you have the right to remain silent. Good. All right, let's go to the next article. We have Medvedev smacking these guys and really, Medvedev is smart. But that's what I think. January 22nd, and so this is smart. And this guy is a weasel. It's a different kind of smartness. That's smart like for us. That is smart for them. Understand? Medvedev denounces Zelensky's territorial claims to Russia. Kiev is really trying to draw public attention away from its frontline setbacks. Okay, we don't care about that one. The last decree by Ukrainian. Why do you keep saying he's Ukrainian, man? I would start with the president of Ukraine. That's how I would call him. Essentially amounts to territorial claims, on sovereign Russian regions. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said on Monday. So he said, posting on Telegram, he was referring to a document declaring 6 Russian regions to be historically inhabited by Ukrainians, end quote. Maybe they are. Were they the first ones? I don't think so. Signed on Monday, Ukraine's Day of Unity, the presidential decree claims that 6 territories that are universally recognized as part of the Russia, Krasnodar, Rostov, Voronezh, Belgorod, Kursk, and Bryansk regions had been historically, quote-unquote, populated by ethnic Ukrainians. Probably. Okay. There's always, you have, like, Romania is populated in part by Hungarians, by Germans, by Gypsies. There are Ukrainians, Romanians, majority somehow, just fucked more or something, that were then subjected to forced Russification. That's true. That's a fact. A lot of things were to forced Sovietization, not Sovietization. It's something like these guys are doing to us right now. They're trying to use our little things to our culture, particularities, and become something we are not. Like accept certain values that we never had. You know what I mean? Changing this, being called this, preferred pronouns, and all the garbage that is, associated with that. The documents then orders the Kiev government to develop an action plan to preserve, quote unquote, the Ukrainian national identity. That's fine. That's fine. In Russia, and demands the true history of Ukraine be made known to the world. Well, you're going to have a big problem with that. You need a lot of thought. You need some guys from the temple to come and tell you. It also demands Russia provide people living in these regions with access to Ukrainian language. Correct, I'm all for that. Mass media, like you provide. What is this? This is hypocrisy right in your face. And some special, quote-unquote, civil, social culture and religious rights. You don't have any special. You're gonna be able to, worship whatever you want to worship, cultural thing, dances, language, painting, whatever you got, the traditions, and you can snip your balls because there's certain traditions right now that you are trying to implement in Ukraine. So yeah, those are the culture trends. Medvedev dismissed the decree as a crude PR stunt aimed at drawing public attention from the losses. Now this is why I picked this article. The former president, 2008-2012, also said it was high time Zelensky stopped such policies and abandoned them, or he might end up annexing Canada in the near future. Why? Because Canada has a big minority, Ukrainian minority over there. So he might be saying, those two guys, we're going to annex that one. Obviously, Zelensky is not talking about annexing, but it's kind of like idiotic. I ask you to do something that I already prevented you to have. Media in your language, parties, your language. We attacked you with tanks. We banned your religion. What the hell is going on? Your denomination. I mean, idiotic. And it says, Zelensky himself described signing the decree as a way to promote, and I'm going to truth about Ukrainians and their history. Go ahead, bring evidence, that's fine. History is not a dead... and it says that it was aimed at restoring the truth about the historical past of the Ukrainian future. Okay, well, whatever, man. Do it. Bring evidence. But hey, why are you a history denier? Can the Russians claim that you're a denier, therefore that should not be investigated anymore? Historical events should not be brought because everything is dead, is completed. Should they claim the same thing as others claim about one historical event in the world? That's it. You can't change it. That's it. That's how we say it. Don't bring anything else not accepted that would challenge the narrative. Should the Russians say the same thing? No, they can't. Why? Because they're Russians. You know what I mean? So the same here. No, don't bring anything else. The history is settled. Why don't we consider everything like that as we consider the other thing? You know what I'm referring to? Yeah. For denying that in Germany, you get up to 5 years in prison. Got the hint? And I already knew under what kind of civil code or something, criminal code. I can remember 1110, 110, something like this. I made a video on that one and I mentioned it. Anyway, here it is, my friends. Now, I would say that Zelensky justifies Russian invasion because the Russians living on the Ukrainian territory, historically Russian territory, were discriminated. Therefore, those guys invaded to protect them. Thank you, Zelensky. You're an idiot. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, live for the truth, and be just.